A Russian military train carrying fuel and food was blown up overnight on June 1st near Melitopol, according to Ukraine's military intelligence. The Muscovites' key logistical artery on the occupied territory of Zaporizhia Oblast and Crimea has been destroyed, HUR's statement said. The agency stopped short of claiming responsibility for blowing up the Russian train station in southern Zaporizhia Oblast, but said the fight against the military logistics of the Russian occupiers continues. HUR's statement further noted heightened Russian searches and stricter checkpoints in the region as Russian forces seek to find those responsible. It was a bad night for Russian railways. A train derailed in Bryansk Oblast, which borders Ukraine to the north, after a road bridge collapsed, killing at least 7 people and injuring 69 others. Preliminary reports suggest that explosions were heard in the Vigonitsky district of Bryansk Oblast ahead of the impact, and Moscow Railways, a subsidiary of state-run Russian railways, claimed that the bridge collapsed due to the unlawful interference in transport operations. No further information was provided as to the cause of the bridge collapse, and the full extent of the damage was not immediately clear. And the Ukrainian partisan group Atesh claimed to have sabotaged a railway in occupied Donetsk Oblast.
Oh, shit.
People went into the forest to pick mushrooms and ended up finding location-lost drones.
Друзі, знає, що це за гриби. Їх просто тут устелено.
Over eastern Ukraine, a Ukrainian Mi-24 Hind helicopter gunship nearly hits a friendly JTAC drone with a salvo of Hydra rockets. If we take convicts back from the captivity, then frankly speaking, a piece of hell could sweep across our entire country. Russian propagandist Nadana Fridriksson suggested not exchanging Russian convicts who had been captured by Ukraine, as they would cause many problems after returning home. I've written several times before that Putin doesn't want any of the special military operation soldiers to ever return home.
Should we, Russia, take back prisoners within the exchange framework who were, for example, stormtroopers, right? Were captured. Some survived, were captured by the Ukrainians. Do we need to take them back? We already have problems in various regions, like someone who was imprisoned, went through the special military operation, survived, returned home, and again terrorizes, for example, neighbors, terrorizes relatives and loved ones, behaves erratically. Just adding, I fought for you. If we take them back from captivity, honestly, we might end up with a branch of hell spreading across the country. Maybe we should leave them with the Ukrainian side.
The second round of Russia-Ukraine ceasefire talks, set for June 2nd in Istanbul, is unlikely to produce tangible results due to Moscow's lack of genuine intent, Lithuania's Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys said on May 31st, according to broadcaster LRT. The outcome hinges on Russia's intentions, Budrys stated. If they are the same as last time, we know how it ended. There was no real desire to negotiate and therefore no tangible results related to the ceasefire, Budrys said, noting that there is a high probability that this will be the case this time around. The official advocated for an unconditional and immediate ceasefire to enable meaningful talks. Budrys also emphasized the need for U.S. and European involvement. There must be some results. What we see now is just an imitation, he added. Will Monday show that it is not an imitation? Most likely not, and that is why Ukrainians need even more support. On May 30th, Andriy Yermak, head of Ukraine's presidential office, confirmed Kyiv's readiness for talks, but stressed the need to receive Russia's ceasefire memorandum. Russia proposed the June 2nd meeting in Istanbul and promised to present a memorandum. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov claims that the Russian side is ready to present a memorandum on the ceasefire and give the necessary explanations during the next meeting. On May 28th, Ukrainian Defense Minister and head of the negotiating team Rustem Umerov said that he had handed over a Ukrainian document with a position on the ceasefire to Moscow and claimed that the Russian side was delaying the process of handing over its memorandum. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia was dragging out the war and wanted to deceive Ukraine and the United States. He stressed that the Russians have not yet handed over their so-called memorandum, which they promised to present after a 1,000 for 1,000 prisoner exchange. Ukraine's foreign ministry believes that the aggressor state is afraid to hand over its memorandum on a ceasefire to Ukraine because it probably contains unrealistic ultimatums. At the same time, on May 30th, Turkey took the initiative to organize a meeting between the leaders of the United States, Russia, and Ukraine with the participation of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan to promote a peaceful settlement of Russia's war against Ukraine. Russia launched a missile strike on a location used by a training unit of Ukraine's ground forces, killing 12 soldiers and injuring more than 60, the Ukrainian military reported on Sunday. The attack took place on June 1st, targeting an area where personnel were stationed. Ukraine's Ground Forces Command reported the incident on its official Telegram channel and stated that an emergency commission had been established to investigate the circumstances of the strike. The press service emphasized that no mass formations or gatherings of troops had been taking place at the time of the strike. It emphasized that most personnel were in shelters following the announcement of an air raid alert. According to the military, all the injured are receiving comprehensive and qualified medical care. The command and staff of Operational Command East are cooperating fully with the investigation. Any officials found responsible for negligence will be held to account. Security measures have been stepped up at military sites in rear areas following a wave of Russian missile and airstrikes targeting facilities far from the front line. The incident follows a similar Russian strike in March on a Ukrainian training site in the Cherkasy region, which killed around 40 soldiers and injured more than 100. In that case, Colonel General Oleksandr Syrsky suspended the training center and military unit commanders pending an investigation. The UK government is holding confidential talks with the Pentagon about purchasing American fighter jets capable of carrying tactical nuclear weapons, The Times reported. The plan would arm the aircraft with nuclear weapons as part of the country's most significant defense buildup since the Cold War. Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Defense Secretary John Healey reportedly support establishing a second pillar of the UK's nuclear deterrent, an air-based component. The UK is expected to purchase US-made F-35A Lightning II jets, which are capable of carrying the B-61 nuclear bomb, the primary airdrop nuclear weapon in the US arsenal. The bomb's yield ranges from 0.3 to 340 kilotons. By comparison, the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima had a yield of about 15 kilotons. There has been no official announcement of the talks, but the issue is expected to feature in the UK's new Strategic Defence Review, which launches on June 3rd. While the document does not explicitly mention the air-based component, it recommends expanding the UK's contribution to NATO's shared nuclear deterrent in Europe. Defense Secretary Healey stated that the world is entering a new era of threats, with the risk of nuclear weapon use at its highest since the Cold War. This is a signal to Moscow that we are prepared to respond if necessary, he said. The potential reinforcement would involve an additional £6 billion in funding to restock military supplies, including £1.5 billion for constructing 6 factories expected to create 1,000 jobs. The UK retired its own WE-177 air-delivered nuclear bombs in 1998 and has since relied solely on its submarine-based deterrent, which uses intercontinental ballistic missiles armed with nuclear warheads. In 2021, the UK decided to restore its nuclear capabilities for US aircraft stationed in Britain. A NATO document published in 2023 listed the UK among countries where special weapons facilities would be modernized.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.